So much fun. That is probably my favorite track that we have here in the GI library. Hi guys, how you doing? Nick Jennison, Guitar Interactive Magazine, GI Plus. It is Mondays. We're doing the thing that we do on Mondays, which is hang out and talk about the guitar. And today we are continuing our long-running discussion on sequences and how they can make your playing both easier and better, if that makes sense. But yeah, hey, thanks for joining us. If you're a new streamer, I want to take this opportunity to welcome you on board. We have a lovely community here of fine guitar players of all ages, destinations, is that the right word? Locations, perhaps, tastes, ability levels. We all love hanging out and talking about the guitar, and we're really glad that you can come and join us. If you are one of said community, if you've been with us for the long haul or even just the short haul, thanks for coming back. It's lovely to have you. Now, again, we keep talking about this. It'd be very lonely if it were just me in my studio. Admittedly, I would be surrounded by beautiful guitars, but, you know, even better to be surrounded by cool guitar players. So, hi. Thanks for coming. Anyway, today we are continuing our discussion on sequences. We're going to get into that in some detail as we go forward. But a little bit of housekeeping before we get stuck into the meat of today's sessions. Now, as you guys know, these streams are educational in their nature. We aim to bring you some free content that is going to hopefully make you a better, more satisfied and more fulfilled guitar player. We are doing this, or we have been doing this for a couple of years now with our lesson platform, GI Plus, which you'll find down here. However, as of a few days' time, the 1st of March this year, at the time of recording, we are partnering with our friends at licklibrary.com to bring you not just GI Plus, but also the wealth of lessons that are available on Lick Library. You're going to be able to get them both. Now, if you are currently a GI Plus member, we will literally just take your GI Plus membership and we'll let you have a Lick Library membership at the same time. It's going to be great. For a limited time, you will get both of those at the same price that you're currently paying for GI Plus. If you're a Lick Library member, you will get GI Plus and all of the lessons that we have in GI Plus included as part of your Lick Library membership. I'll tell you all about that a little bit later on, but if you have any questions about this crossover that's happening, this switchover rather, don't forget you can send us emails to playersupport@licklibrary.com. You got any questions about that? Send an email here. We will answer all of your questions. Speaking of questions, we're also going to be answering your questions tonight about guitar playing. So if you got any questions, don't forget, drop your questions in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. We'll be answering your questions as we go through today's stream. We're here for an hour. We're going to be talking about sequences, but it's not just limited to sequences. We're going to be talking about all things guitar related. Speaking of guitar related, check out the old friend that we bust out tonight. This is my red PRS. Now this guitar has been through a lot with me, as you guys know. Been playing this one a lot more recently, and man, it's still my baby. You know, this guitar has been through thick and thin with me. Now, you guys know I've been playing my Maybach recently. It's a beautiful guitar, absolutely love it. But this PRS, man, we've got history, and these pickups, they're really something else. As you can probably hear, it's a very inspiring guitar to play. It's got 9s on it at the minute as well, which is just buttery smooth. I'm having to play very, very gently to try and make it work, but that seems to be doing some cool stuff. So I want to know from you guys, drop us in the comments, what guitar are you playing today? I can already see we've got a lot of love for our friends over at Paul Reed Smith, so lots of PRS in the stream, but of course we don't discriminate. We'd love to hear what guitar you're playing, and also if you're a new member of our streaming community, drop us a message, let us know where you're tuning in from. We're going to say some hellos and then we'll get into today's lesson. First of all, Marcin, first one here. Marcin is the first one in. Got beat by Marcin, says Paul Cornish. Marcin beats everyone. Good to be here every Monday. It's good to have you here every Monday, man. It wouldn't be a stream without you. Paul Cornish has got beat by Marcin. Anyway, good evening, fellow Axemen. Bought a Dinky on Friday. Anybody else got a love for Jacksons? I have a love for Jacksons. When I was a kid, all I wanted more than anything in the world, never got one, maybe I'll treat myself to one now that I'm almost a grown-up, all I wanted was a Jackson Soloist in a really cool like custom finish. I saw them in the catalog and I was like, my god, I want this more than anything. I think they were doing these really wild finishes at the time where they had like flames but the flames were like a flip-flop paint against black, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. Do love Dinkies, right? Great guitars, very, very cool. Got some friends who love Jackson guitars too. For me, I never got around to owning one, but I do like them an awful lot. PJ's in the house. PJ, it's good to see you. I have to admit, I've never played a Jackson, although I am looking for another guitar. Now, if you're looking for a shred machine, it's probably a good place to start. We were over at Fender headquarters quite recently with the GI guys. I say quite recently, I think it was a little while ago. It was probably end of summer last year. It feels recent because so much has happened in the meantime. It's just been a total blur. But yeah, I think it was probably end of summer, but man, you know, like they're making some really great guitars, really, really cool guitars. Definitely worth your time. Of course, you get a PRS too, but I would say that. I'm duty bound to say that, so you guys know that already. Response Audio is here. Always good to have you on board. Marcin says, had 3 Jacksons and sold them all. Love the looks, but maybe had bad luck with particular models. I feel like the necks maybe, you know, maybe one of those things that perhaps isn't quite right for everybody, but they are very, very cool. Who else do we have in the house? Chris Brown is here from his other account with Night Train. You haven't played a gig since 2017. Well, maybe this is the universe telling you to get the band back together. Larry Warren is here. Larry, it's good to see you. Sacred Godslayer is here, asking a question about the Richie Kotzen sequence that we were playing a little while ago with the fourths on the higher string with the hybrid picking. We'll answer that in the Q&A section. I may get to it before then, but we'll definitely address that in the Q&A section. So yeah, good question. If you guys have questions, let me know in the comments. We'll get to that. Who else do we have? Let's see. Kim is in the house. Kim, it's great to see you. Watching from somewhere apparently not sunny, but definitely more exotic than where I am. Mark Crandall is in the house. Mark, it's good to see you. Cowcat is here. Timothy Appling is in the house. Stuck in Miami traffic today. Now, I think Miami Traffic, when I read this comment, I think it's a great name for a band. So we've already established that because I read Timothy's name wrong so many times. I was calling him Timothy Appalling, which I think is a great punk name. And I think the name for Timothy's in-universe punk band has to be Miami Traffic. I think that's great. I think it's destiny. David Yates is here. Good to see you. Crank Tom is laid up with a cold. I'm sorry to hear that, man. Hope you get well soon. Always good to see you. Crank Tom sent me a Zakk Wylde style sequence the other day, and it is great. You really got the spirit of what we're trying to do here, and some of the very cool kind of like middle low, middle high stuff we were talking about last week. Really into that. It sounded great. Helmet Strap is in the house. Lovely to see you. Steve McD is here. Again, great to have you on board. Steve McD's playing his PRS SE Custom 24. Can agree. Great guitars. Very cool. Those SEs have no business being as good as they are. Who else do we have in the house? Steve McD is here with... not Steve McD. We said Steve McD. Marcin is here playing CE24. We love a CE24. Mine is sitting over right here with the Fishman Fluences in it. Great guitar. Been doing that for some metal stuff for Victory today. More of that coming later. Mark McNish is here. Glad to have you on time too. Daryl Queen is in the house. Lovely to have you. Little Abner's Clubhouse joining us again. Lovely to have you on board. Nick's been on the Vi pill, says PJ. And you know, when the Vi is in you, you know, when you get that kind of like under your fingers and it becomes part of what you do, it's kind of hard to get it out. And I think Steve would approve of that. Chris Brown is asking, did I see any of your Instagram videos using this track? I most certainly did, man. You're playing some really great stuff. You seem to be just kind of like going from strength to strength with these. And I always love to see them. So do keep tagging me because I watch them and I love them. I love to see them. And likewise, you guys, if you're playing on any of the tracks or you're using any of the ideas that we're talking about in these streams and you decide to upload them, tag me in it. I'd love to see it or send it to me. Mark Crandall says, Nick makes it look so effortless. Well, thanks, man. You know, I think the guitar really helps. This is a very effortless guitar. Who else do we have? Smoke an intro today, says Response Audio. Thanks, man. Very good here. Nice playing, my friend, says Frank the Crank from New York. Man, appreciate that. You guys are very, very kind. John Mack is in the house. Lovely to see you. Chris Brown's playing a Les Paul. James Fair is playing a Blade RH4. Very cool. We've got a PRS SE hollow body, an old Epi Sheraton. Very cool. Very cool guitar. Playing his Strat is Mark Crandall. Frank is playing a Taylor Solid Body Classic. You can still get some good stuff out of the stuff we're doing today with some acoustics love as well. Here also we have a 335. We've got a CE24. I do not sound like you, Nick. Well, that might not be a bad thing. That's all I'm saying. We've got a cheapo Cort Z24 go-to guitar. Hey man, if it works for you, it works for you. We also have Four Cornish says, love that PRS, Nick. I remember using it many a year ago. My new Dinky tonight. He's playing his new Dinky now, yes, but it needs some neck relief. You know, sometimes that's the way, man, but if you're playing a little too, you know, maybe if you're playing quite aggressively, let's say, you might need a little more neck relief, unless it's backwards. What else do we have? We've got an Angry Larry semi-hollow. We've got a cheap RG. Can't beat those RGs, man. Dead Man Doogie Van Dugerson is playing PRS SE DGT. Not had a chance to get my hands on those yet. We'd love to take a look at one in a review. Very, very cool. Got some love for Jacksons. We've got a Godslayer has a Jackson soloist and a Chris Broderick, both Indonesian, but they're better than other Indonesians from other brands. Honestly, it just goes to show you, it's not so much about the country of origin. It's about how much attention the brand pays to their guitars from a particular country. Larry Warren is asking, are you gigging lately, Nick? Yes, been gigging with a few friends of mine. It's a band that I'm not in. This band is called New Breed Revolution. It's my friend Alan, who's the guitar player in Blitzkrieg. He's the singer in this band with a bunch of other guys. Steve Ireland, monstrous bass player, and my friend Mark Jackson, who's the drummer for Acid Rain. He was in one of the Venom spin-offs for a while. Great drummer, lovely lads. So I'm not in the band, unfortunately, but it's my friend Mickey's band. He's away doing some other stuff. So I've been dabbing for them and I've been having a lot of fun. Anyway. I could sit and chat about guitars all day, which is what we're going to do, because we're going to continue our discussion on sequences. Now, sequences, as far as we're concerned, the sequence thing is a way of organizing our playing that makes logical sense. Now, we keep using the analogy of the Parisian Walkways sequence, the Fly Me to the Moon sequence, as an example of what a sequence is. So let's just very quickly remind ourselves what we're talking about here. A sequence is a musical idea, we'll go to these cameras, where we have a consistent musical flow, maybe something like this. And the contour and the rhythm stay largely the same, but the notes that are in there change. Another example might be this line from Mr. Crowley, the one that goes... what does it go like? We can see that has a very clear shape to it. Apparently I'm messing it up. I was playing it just fine on the weekend, but I've messed it up. Actually, Mr. Crowley is a great study piece for sequences because the solo is almost all sequences, and a lot of them are one of the 3-note sequences that we're going to be talking about in just a second. Now, we did discuss some of this last week. If you want a bit of a refresher on this, don't forget the streams that we did for the last few weeks on sequences are available on the Guitar Interactive YouTube channel. Give us a subscribe if that's where you're watching. If you're not, go to YouTube, give us a subscribe, and don't forget to share this with your guitar playing friends. And while we're on, hit the like button, because this video needs some more likes to get it to some more guitar players. Anyway, so although we're doing pretty okay, but still, more likes would be nice. Anyway, yes, so sequences are that sort of deal, but we can kind of boil it down into a physical way of organizing notes. So let's take a look at how we might organize notes on a single string in terms of some sequencing ideas. And for this, we're going to continue playing our A minor pentatonic, or rather our A minor backing track that we've been playing along with. And I'm going to show you the A minor scale up a single string. And we'll use this as a vehicle for creating some cool sequences. So let me show you it with these two cameras. So very quickly, A minor scale. We begin by orbiting this A. This is our A note, right? We know that because that's where we hang our A minor pentatonic scale that everybody knows and loves. But we can go in either direction from this and play a whole collection of notes, starting with, but not limited to, the open E string. Then we can play E1, that's an F note, E3, that's a G note, E5, that's an A note. So even if we just played this, already we have a good portion of our A minor scale. But we can continue up the neck. We can take this 5. We can then go to 7. We can go to 10. Sorry, not 10. We can go to 8 rather. My mistake. 7, 8, 10. I'm just thinking ahead. By the time we're up to 12, we have the same note as our open E string. So we can play once again this. Let me throw the backing track on and we'll play through it together because we're going to sequence up and down this string. Let's try playing. Starting with the E string. In fact, you know what? I am going to go to these two cameras so that we can see my right hand at the same time. So what we get here is we get the following. We have, starting with the E string, let's get E, E1, E3, E5, E7, E8, E10, E12. If we play a little quicker. Now the place you change is up to you. You can play it with one finger. Just while we get used to it, that's absolutely fine. What we're going to do now is we're going to change the way we play this. We're going to play it starting on any given note, and then we're going to move 4 notes up. 4 notes up. Starting on the E string, let's try playing the following. Let's go E, then 4 notes. Like this. Then let's start on fret number 1 and play 4 notes up. You get the gist. We'll go like this. 1, 2, 3, 4 notes. Now we have 2 little phrases that form a sequence. We get this. There's our first phrase. Here's our second phrase. Now we can hear this has a very particular and very familiar sound. We can take this concept, move it to the next note, which will be 3, playing 4 notes up. We can start on the A, play 4 notes up. We can start on this one, 4 notes up, and then we can continue up into the next octave, where we play the equivalent of 1, and then the equivalent of 3. You get the gist. Now, if we string these together, we might get something that looks and sounds like this. We might get... and so on and so forth. Going a little quicker, we might get... a little quicker again, we might get... Now this sequence is, in essence, a physical layout of a 4 notes up sequence. We talked about this before, but we can consider this to be 4 notes up. Now, we have other sequences that we can use. We can do 3 notes up, we can do 4 notes down, we can do 3 notes down, we can do 5 notes up, 6 notes up, however you want to categorize this. And this is one of the essential sequences that we have to know as guitar players, because there's going to be lots of times when we have to play a 4 notes up sequence. So an example of this might be if we were to go to, again, we'll go to these 2 hands cams, where we might play something across the strings that might look like this. Let's do that once again. The same thing in reverse might look like this. Now, I'm going quickly here because, not because I want you to follow this along and be like, oh yeah, I'll play quick like that. If you can, that's fantastic. But more so that you can hear the contour and the flow of what we're doing here. So this 4 notes up sequence is one that we should probably have some degree of mastery of. And the cool thing about this is it's also a really great exercise that is going to help you develop your guitar playing because it challenges you. Now, assuming this is a challenge for you, some of you will just be absolute old hands at this. You'll be able to play this stuff like an absolute breeze. And if that's you, hey, fantastic, great. Then it means it's a useful musical device. If you're finding this challenging, even better. It means you have a thing that is useful for a musical application, but it also means you have a cool exercise that is going to challenge your ability to play something coherent and musical. All the more reason to work on this. Now, let's get into some sequences that's a demonstration of a sequence. Let's get into some essential sequences. We're going to begin with some 3-note sequences. Now, we're going to do some 3-note, 4-note, 5-note, and 6-note sequences today. And there'll probably be more 6 notes than anything else, and probably fewer 5 notes than you might imagine, because we don't play that many 5-note sequences. But let's do some 3-note sequences. Now, in terms of 3-note sequences, there aren't that many that we can do realistically. We can do 3 notes up, we can do 3 notes down. So what that might look like is if we took our up 1A string example, 3 notes up might look like this. I guess you've probably guessed already, but we might play and then this. Surprise, surprise, we're starting on a given note and then playing 3 notes up. Now there's no rule that says we have to play the notes that are adjacent to each other. We can miss notes out if we want, or we can jump over notes. So we can consider something like this, for example. To be a 3 notes up sequence, because it has the same shape. The only difference is here we've introduced more of an interval leap on the last note. So it's step, step, leap, if that makes sense. If you're familiar with that step and leap parlance, or small interval, big interval, that's just an expansion of this same idea. It has the same musical contour, this ba 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 ba, like this, and this. Ooh. Come on, behave. They have the same musical contour. I think this pick is blunt. Let me just grab another one. That's probably why I'm falling over myself. I bet it's not. I bet it's just me being sloppy, but who knows. This one definitely looks a little sharper, so that's cool. Even still, they have the same musical contour. Now, we could also do 3 notes down, which is this. Which, again, we could play with a jump. We can also play across the strings. You'll be familiar with that, again, from the Mr. Crowley solo. If you're familiar with that, that's one that's immediately spring to mind. It's all this. That's a 3 notes down sequence in the minor pentatonic scale. We're literally starting the note, playing 3 notes down, starting on another note, and playing 3 notes down. So the 3 notes down sequence, again, very, very useful. So we've had 3 notes up, 3 notes down. One of the other ones we can play, which is really useful, is we can play something like high, low, middle, or low, middle, high. Low, high, middle. I'll say those again. So high, low, middle, or low, high, middle. These are just ways of organising 3 notes in our sequence that aren't 3 notes up or 3 notes down. On our single string, it might look something like this, where we play low, high, middle. Then we might play low, high, middle, 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 low, high, middle. What do I mean by low, high, middle? Well, the low is the lowest note out of our group of 3. High is the highest note out of our group of 3. Middle is, surprise, surprise, the middle one. And we can do the opposite. We can play high, low, middle. Again, useful sequences. How might this pan out? Well, it might look something like this. Now, isn't that a lovely idea? It doesn't all have to be fast stuff. That's just a really pleasant melodic idea. So, again, that is our high, low, middle idea, which is this. There it is with the jump. Same idea, but crossing strings with a jump. Now, I realise it's getting a little more complicated very quickly, but it's just to show you where we might go with that. Now, that is an example. of a 3-note sequence, an example of several 3-note sequences. But what I'm not doing here is I'm not trying to necessarily show you the lick. I'm trying to show you the idea with this. So what we'll do next is we're going to do a little bit of improvisation together. I'm going to play some stuff to a track. I'm going to leave you some space to play stuff on the track. And we're just going to improvise with a theme of picking 3 notes, playing the highest one, the lowest one, then the middle one. We'll do high, low, middle as our study sequence. High, low, middle. You can play any combination of notes you want. You can play the notes up and down that A string that I showed you a second ago. You can play the A minor pentatonic. You can play the A Aeolian mode all up and down the fretboard. It doesn't really matter. You can make as big of interval jumps as you want. You can make them very small. It's not important. It's about studying that sequence and trying to move that sequence around. Here's a cool comment from Daryl Queen saying, this is exposing synchronicity issues between my right and left hands. Sure, it will, because we are breaking some of the patterns that we tend to play. But this is cool, because this means that this is going to become one of those patterns that you're going to tend towards, and then you'll have more of those cool patterns to draw from, which will mean it'll be in there and you can play it all the time as much as you want. So let's get into it. Backing track is on. I'm going to play a little bit. I'm going to ask you to play some as well. So the study sequence is high, low, middle. I'll go like this. Take it down. Now I'm playing something at the end there just to show you don't have to play the sequence the whole time. The sequence just has to be, for what we're doing right now, at the core of what we're playing. But we can change it up, we can play some other stuff too. Take a little bit longer, just to let this develop. So again, high, low, middle is the core of what we're trying to achieve here. Take a little bit longer, and then I'll take another pass. I need to make more tracks like this, I think if you guys want some more tracks like this, just let me know in the comments. I'll make some more. I'm going to go like this. That was quite tough. I'll go again. Into that. That's very cool. Okay. Now, I'm pretty sure you got the gist of that, so I am going to move on from that. Marcin says, nice way to spice up triads. 100%. So if you have triad arpeggios, you can do that idea. Tons of things you can do with it. It's just a really useful sequence, and it's not really bound to any one way or another. Here's a cool question from Justin Ray. We'll get to that in the Q&A section. He's asking about economy picking using sequencing. Well, we'll talk about that for sure. If you want some more help on that, by the way, we've got a great course called Picking Strategies Part 1, available as part of your GI Plus membership, soon to be available as part of your Lick Library membership. It's got loads of great info about adapting this sort of stuff to picking. I'm going to show you what that course is all about, and then when we come back, we will continue with some 4- and 5-note and 6-note sequences. But first, a quick look at what you get in Picking Strategies Part 1. Does your picking feel uncoordinated and sometimes you miss notes or fluff transitions from string to string, maybe a little bit like this? When in reality what you want is smooth and easy and transparent feeling picking, a bit like this. Or maybe you've been sold on the idea that there's one specific way that you have to pick on the guitar and everything else is wrong, but that particular cookie cutter approach just doesn't work for you. It feels unnatural. It almost feels like you're fighting your own body to try and make it work. Well, Picking Strategies Part 1 is the course for you. In this course, we explore the many different ways that you can form a full and complete and comprehensive picking approach by examining the various strategies used by some of the greatest pickers of all time. And there are a whole bunch of strategies out there, and I guarantee there is one that is going to work for your preferred picking mechanics, the way you prefer to stand or sit with the guitar, the type of guitar you play, the type of music you play. There is a strategy for you. We're going to explore all of them, and I'm going to show you how you can take a single solo study and play every line within it using all of the 6 picking strategies that we look at in this course. And of course, this entire course is available as part of your GI Plus membership. So if you're not signed up already, what better excuse do you need to sign up today? There you go, that's Picking Strategies Part 1. If you want some info on picking, that's the place to go get it. Larry Warren with the comment saying, "More tracks please," said in the Oliver accent. "Please sir, can I have more tracks?" Well, ask and you shall receive. We'll make some more tracks for sure, 100%. Now, anyway, on to some 4-note sequences. Now, we talked about the idea of 4-note sequences as the 4 notes down, 4 notes up business. Now, that's given. This... and then going down. But what if we took the same approach to this high, low, middle, and low, high, middle business that we did on our 3-note sequences, but applied that to 4-note sequences? Well, this opens up a world of possibilities. So we could play something like this. We could play, let's go to these 2 hands cams. We could play high, low, middle, low. That's a fun sequence. Take 3 notes, play the highest, the lowest, the middle, the lowest. Vaguely neoclassical, really quite cool. We could do another where we might play middle, low, middle, high. That's a really fun one. Now this is one we might use in combination with another sequence. So we might use 4 notes down, like this. And then we might play middle, low, middle, high. Loads of fun. We might do another one that might go 4 notes down. And then we might play low, middle, high, middle. You can see how these are starting to form. Now, in terms of which sequences and exactly which ones you're going to use, it's kind of down to you. There's plenty of them out there, but this is a fun example of how you might use them. And it also serves to highlight that just because there are 4 notes in a sequence doesn't mean they have to be 4 different notes. They can be 4 notes that are chosen from a pool of 3. We can repeat certain notes. So we could take a sequence that maybe, for example, went high, high, middle, low, like this. That works really well. That can also become a very cool 6-note sequence. lots of fun. Now, we'll get onto 6-note sequences in a second, because I do want to do some 5-note stuff as well, because 5 notes are a lot of fun. So we are going to skip over the idea of doing too many 4-note improvised sequences, because we've done loads of them. 5 notes, however. 5 notes, tons of fun. Loads of fun to be had with 5. Now, in terms of 5s, I want to get into phrasing 5s for a minute. Daryl Queen says that's dangerously close to the Trooper. It's not a million miles off. Now, the Trooper is actually another example of that intro riff, this. That's a sequence. You hear them everywhere, and that's one of the places you hear them. The Trooper, the intro to the Trooper, is a sequence. Who knew, right? They're all over the shop. Lots of other Iron Maiden songs of sequences. An example might be, there's a really cool bit in, is it Bring Your Daughter to the Slaughter? The Papa Roach ripped off. I'm pretty sure that also a sequence. Admittedly, only one of the notes moves, but it's still a sequence. Cranker Tom says the Trooper is also a nice beer. Can confirm. They do a bit of all sorts, don't they, the Iron Maiden boys? They got their fingers in all sorts of pies. Iron Maiden pie. That's what we need next. Anyway, hallowed be thy crust or something. Anyway, so there's a better pun than that in there, I'm sure, but we're not going to find it today. So 5-note sequences. 5-note sequences. Let's get into that. And we're going to start with the most obvious one, which is the 5 notes descending sequence. The venerable Eric Johnson sequence that everyone from Eric Gales, Joe Bonamassa, Ian Thornley, Richie Kotzen, loads of folks have had a lot of fun with this Eric Johnson 5-note sequence. What we're going to do is a pentatonic scale idea. How you articulate this is up to you. You can play it with some picking. You can go like this, which is the EJ way of picking it. You can do the way that I like to do it, which is... doesn't really make a difference in terms of the differences there. What we're actually playing here is we're starting in our A minor pentatonic scale. We're playing the highest note and the lowest note on a given string, highest note and the lowest note on a given string, and then only the highest note on a third string. So it's high, low, high, low, high. We then start again on the next string, not the next note, but the next string. Now, Eric's way of playing this is to play down, up, down with a rest stroke, and then sweep to begin the pattern anew, down, up, down, sweep to begin the pattern anew, down, up, down, down, up, down. Myself, I prefer to play down, up, sweep to get an up, down, up. Either can work, doesn't make a difference. You can play it with pull-offs. Whatever works for you, whatever you feel like works. Another fun way of doing this is to do a hammer-on from nowhere on the last note. That can work very well too, but the point with this is a 5 notes descending sequence. 5 notes down, you might call it. And that is, at its core, the Eric Johnson 5 sequence. We do it in pentatonic scales. We can do it with a bunch of other scales too, but let's talk about the pentatonic scale first. So we'll go to these cameras, let's throw the track on, we're gonna have a little play with this, and we'll see what comes out. We're not in Dorian, we're in Aeolian. This is my kind of guitar self-talk. I can remind myself what I'm supposed to be playing. There's a good one. Now we don't just have to play this fast to get some love out of it. We can play it slow and have it be something really cool as well. Slow, not not super slow, but it's quite slow comparatively. Now, that's that sequence in pentatonic world, right, in pentatonic land, but it doesn't have to be pentatonic. We can also do this with other 5-note groupings. It doesn't have to be pentatonic scales. So, for example, what we could do is we could take any given 3-note per string scale. Let's take, for argument's sake, a really common one where maybe we play this shape that we've been playing for the last few weeks. This is the shape that we decided wasn't Phrygian last week, because it's not. To outline the A minor scale, where we play, in this case, 17, 15, 13, 17, 15, 13, 16, 14, 12, 15, 14, 12, 15, 14, 12, 15, 13, 12. We could play the highest and lowest notes on the first 2 strings, and then the middle note on the next string to give us this. Change up at the end there because it felt a little more convenient. Realistically, we could play the highest and lowest note on any given string on the first 2 strings, and whichever note is easier to reach on the next string. So it could be this. It doesn't really matter. It's 2 notes out of 3 on a given string, playing 5 notes in total, and we're using the same mechanical sequence. I'll show you the picking for this once again. This is the way that I like to do it, where we get this. Right. Let's go here. That works really well, or the Eric style. That's going to work really great on our track. We can throw it on like this. But of course, as you might expect, that is far from the only 5-note sequence we can play. We can play loads of 5-note sequences. That's just one of them. And that's just a way of skinning the Eric Johnson 5-note sequence. But what about if we took a 5-note sequence that was, well, another way of playing this, for example. What if we, instead of playing on 3 strings, what if we played something like this? What if we took a pentatonic scale and we took 4 notes in total and we played these 4 notes. Let's go to these cams, show you what's going on. But we begin by playing the lowest note in a given string. So we play low, high, low, high, low. That's a lot of fun. Let's play that as a study idea. Phrasing, it's lovely. I'm into that. What if we change it up? What if we played something that maybe went a little higher on the first little portion? What am I doing there? Same idea as this. What I'm doing is I'm playing the next pentatonic position up for the first bit. Well, that's nice. Very pretty. Really nice. Other 5-note sequences, other ones we can play. anytime we get 5 notes, we can play a 5-note sequence. We can also use it anytime we get, we can play 4 notes. We can skin it as 5 notes. We just need to play one of the notes twice. You get the idea of how this might go together, right? So 5-note sequences, lots and lots of fun. Now, let's get up to 6 notes, because 6 notes is great fun. There are tons of these we can pick from. And the reason we see so many 6-note sequences is it just falls really nicely under the hands when you're playing the guitar. It's something that guitar players just enjoy doing. And as a result, there are just tons of 6-note sequences that all manner of players have used over the years. Here are some examples. Let's start with the Paul Gilbert 6-note sequence. Paul Gilbert 6-note sequence, there's 2 versions of this. We can think about it as 4 notes up and back down again. The way it traditionally is arranged is we traditionally play 4 notes up starting on one string and then moving to the lowest note on the next string. Low, middle, high, low, and then back down again. We can play the inverted version where we start at the top. We go 4 notes down and back up again. That's the traditional sequence. We can change it. We can do things like modulating where the high note is. The high note we can play with, we can play it here. Loads of fun to be had with that sort of stuff. Now, that's the Paul Gilbert sequence. Another classic sequence that we talked about last week is the Yngwie 6-note sequence, which is, on a given string, high, low, middle, high, middle, low. This one. Loads of fun, but there's a reverse version of it, which is, I like to think of as the Richie Kotzen sequence. Even though Richie Kotzen uses lots of these, the Richie Kotzen version of this is one that goes like this. We play, if we start down at the bottom, let's pick these 3 notes to begin with. Let's do 1, 3, and 5. The sequence goes low, high, middle, low, middle, high. Low, high, middle, low, middle, high. There's some Paul Gilbert. Kotzen, Gilbert. Well, don't they go well together? They're really nice. Now let's take a look at another 6-note sequence that uses 2 notes on any given string. This I think of as the Zakk Wylde 6-note sequence. Zakk Wylde 6-note sequence is using 2 notes on one string, 2 notes on the next string. It's high, low, high, low, high, low on the next string, which is this. And of course we can change which notes are on within our sequence, we can move it around, but ultimately it's the same movement. It's 6 notes divided as this one, this one, this one. High, low, high, low, high, low on the next string. How might we skin that? Maybe on, I don't know, let's take the Nuno arpeggio. This. Some scrap there, but you get the idea. We could skin it on a major scale. We could take this major scale we've been playing, and we could play any combination of those will work. Now, there are more. That's a really fun one. A fun one that Steve Vai will play quite a lot is to take something that might, if we take 3 notes on a given string, we might play low, middle on one given string, low, high on the next string, and then back down again. Low, middle, low, high, Back down again. You hear this a lot with major 7th arpeggios. Let's play it here. Quite challenging to improvise with, but you get the idea. That works really, really nicely with minor pentatonic scales. If we take A minor pentatonic, we might go. Again, sounds very Steve Vai. Kragatomer rightly pointing out that this is also a Gary Moore movement. Yeah, for sure. Now, it's almost as if the sequence doesn't define the player. It's how the player uses the sequence that defines them. But there's some really great examples of 6-note sequences. Now, what do you do with all this information? This is the important bit. Well, what you do, dear friend, is you combine them. You combine them, you explore them, you develop a vocabulary with all of these sequences, or at least the ones that you like. And the ones, maybe start with the ones that feel comfortable and easy under your fingers. And then lo and behold, what do we get? We get a combined approach to playing sequences. Let me show you some. Let me see if I can actually carry this off, because my chops are falling apart in front of us on the camera, and that's fine. We make mistakes, we're humans. So anyway, let's do a combined approach. Let's go. That's what we've just done. Pedal note sequence. Loads of things you can do with this. I could play forever, and ultimately, you could really think about any musical idea like that, as being derived from one sort of sequence or another, because ultimately, this musical contour that we have going on here, is part of what helps our playing have a thread, have sort of a thing that allows the listener to make sense of it. Even if the playing is designed not to make sense, we can help ourselves make sense of this. Now, we are going to draw a line into that there, because I could go on forever about sequences, and we have got some questions coming in that I want to make sure we get to. So, real quick, let's change the branding. Hey, there we go. It didn't work. Now it did. Hey, there we go. It's almost like clicking the mouse and clicking your fingers with the same hand is a fool's errand, but never mind. That's I'm good at fool's errands. So we got some cool questions. If you've got any questions you want answered last minute, let me know. This is your last chance to get your questions in, because I really want to answer this one. So first of all, this is Sacred Godslayer asking, Nick, do you remember the Kotzen style sequence with the fourths played in hybrid picking on the string below? Yes, indeed I do. So that would be this very, very cool sequence that I like to play an awful lot, which is this. Now, in terms of transitioning strings, which is the question, I'm going to hide the comment because we want to see what's going on there. You'll see me play this all the time. Blends into my playing. I've played it so much that it becomes part of what I do. That's how this all works. Anyway, in terms of transitioning strings, there's a couple of different ways you can do this. If you're moving this way, i.e. you're moving up in pitch, do is we can take the roll and let that become the start. If we assign this instead, if we assign this to the string with lots of notes on, and the string with only one note on it, the one note on the string with only one note can be the high note of the next pair of strings. Now, in terms of transitioning upwards through the strings, we break the sequence momentarily and do this. Play all sorts of stuff around it, but we can do the same thing if we're playing the 3-note version, which might be something like this. There's a little easier because we can just roll into the next string. A little easier to do it there than it is with the 2-note version, but that's kind of what we're doing with that. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. I realised that was very specific, but hopefully that makes sense for us. Now, another question here from our man, Justin Ray, asking the question, maybe a little off topic, but how can one adopt more economy picking using sequencing? Well, here's a fun thing we can do with economy picking and sequencing is you can do, we'll make this our last question for the day because we're running ahead. What you can do is you can design sequences around your economy picking. A good example of this is this very particular Ingve sequence where you'll play. Now what we have going on here, that's not the most specific Ingve way of playing it, but it's a very cool Ingve sequence where we play down, up, down, and then we sweep to get down, up. So we played 5 notes up, and then we follow up, instead of going to the next logical note, we just move that to the previous string. So if we played low, middle, high, low, middle, we'd expect to play high, we'll just play high on the previous string, which enables us to play down, up, down, sweep for a down, up, down. We can then restart on the next pair of strings with, you guessed it, sweep for a down. Combine that with some other little transitional sequences like this. And we have a sequence designed for our economy picking. And Ingve is full of great sequences that use this sort of idea, but you can allow a particular technique. You can, I will say this again, you can allow a particular technique to guide you into a cool sequence. You can design the line around the technique. It doesn't mean it's going to be a bad line. It might be a really great line. You know, I think the Eric Johnson 5s thing, for example, was probably a mechanical decision before it was a musical decision. But ultimately what he's ended up with is something really friggin' cool that can be this very cool musical idea. If we take the Ingve sequence as another example, what we might do is we might do something like this, where we might play... That's fun, I'm just making this up on the spot. Where I'm playing the pentatonic scale for the most part. Lots of fun. Can I get that up to speed? Let's find out. We're taking the Yngwie sweeping thing here, trying to play it with pentatonic. Sort of. Let's try it again. There's some drums to give me a hand. It's a fun idea and needs developing. I'm going to take that away and I'm going to play with it. Ooh, that was a hard one at the end. Yeah, I'm going to take that and I'm going to play with that. That's very cool. So, Justin Ray, you've inadvertently given me a very cool sequence that I'm going to go and play with. So, for sure, right? For sure. So, yes, anyway, guys, unfortunately, we have run out of time. Now, got a bit of news for you about what's going on with next week's stream. So next week's stream will be continuing as usual. We will be here on the same channel, which is the Guitar Interactive YouTube channel. We will also be on the Lick Library YouTube channel at the same time. So we're going to be doing the same time, same place. If you want to watch us here on the Guitar Interactive channel, come join us. If you want to watch us on the Lick Library YouTube channel, you can do that too. We're going to be on both channels. Nothing is changing. All that's changing is you guys get more in your membership. And as a quick reminder of what you get, let me show you. Guys, my name is Nick Jennison for Guitar Interactive Magazine, GI+. It's been a whole lot of fun. We will be back next week with a new partner in our friends at Lick Library and a new theme and maybe even a new name. But we'll figure that out in a little bit. So for the time being, I will see you guys later. Take care of yourselves. This is what you get as part of your combined GI+ Lick Library membership. My name is Nick Jennison for Guitar Interactive, GI+. I will see you next week. Hi, my name is Nick Jennison, and it's my pleasure to announce that GI+, the exclusive lesson platform from Guitar Interactive Magazine, is moving to licklibrary.com. GI Plus features a whole host of the best players and educators in the world, bringing you exclusive lessons on everything from metal to blues to fusion and everything in between. Want to level up your shred chops? Check out How to Play Fast by Andy James. Or how about sweep picking with Rick Graham? Or maybe country's more your bag? Well, how about a full-length country guitar course from Andy Wood? Interested in learning how to play over changes? Well, members get access to hours of exclusive lessons from fusion maestro Tom Quayle. Or maybe you want your playing to sound more soulful. Well, who better than Chris Buck to show you how it's done? Members also get access to every lesson ever published in Guitar Interactive Magazine, including Michael Caswell's legendary Pro Concepts column. Or maybe you want to learn the secrets of the masters. Well, members get access to over 70 full-length tech sessions where our tutors painstakingly decode the styles of players like David Gilmour, Eddie Van Halen, John Petrucci, Larry Carlton, Slash, Tosin Abasi, Paul Gilbert, and many more. And you get all of this in addition to all of the amazing content on licklibrary.com, which includes note-for-note tuition of over 60 classic albums, weekly lesson uploads, a backing track library, and one-to-one player support. There has never been a better time to sign up than right now.